Hello and welcome to the second of our two-part video summary series examining the novel Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. Do make sure you check out the first part where we go over the context and key summary of the novel. And in this video, we'll be looking at the key characters, themes and symbols. So when it comes to understanding the key characters in the novel, Clarissa Dalloway is one of the most important protagonists. She's an upper middle class woman who stays at home and hosts grand parties. She has a husband and one daughter. However, she's torn between her internal life and the external world around her. Her own world is one that's very superficial, but she's always looking for deeper meaning. And in many ways, when you're thinking about her character, perhaps in some ways she reflects Virginia Woolf herself and the superficiality that she found when she was looking at her social class. Clarissa Dalloway reflects on many of her past decisions, like turning down Peter's proposal for a more comfortable life. Septimus Warren Smith is another important character to be aware of. He's a World War I veteran who suffers from shell shock and PTSD. He is similar but also stands in contrast to Mrs. Dalloway. He's a working class veteran whilst she is an upper class wife. While Mrs. Dalloway accepts the choices in the life she has, though she still lives with doubt and regrets, Septimus cannot accept his life and he commits suicide. Peter Walsh is another important character and he's a middle-aged man. He cannot come to terms with how he feels about anything, and he says that he does not love Clarissa, but seems quite obsessed with her still. He is an unstable character, becoming a foil to Clarissa's husband, Richard. And always remember, when you're thinking about foil in plays or novels, a foil is essentially a character who is used by the writer to reveal deficiencies or shortcomings in another character. So going back to this, Clarissa's husband Richard is used as a foil to Peter Walsh. In terms of the themes, the first theme is privacy, and there's a difficult balance between private lives and open communication in this novel. We find that Mrs. Dalloway often reflects on how humans all exist so separately, and how we never really quite know everything about everyone. Many of the characters seem to hold back, and there's a politeness that keeps everyone from sharing too much. And Mrs. Dalloway sees Septimus's death as one way to break this silence, in that he has communicated the truth about the war and its damage. The other key theme is British society and class. So this is set in a very deeply divided society. Remember, this is before NHS, this is before measures which were taken to put in place free school education for everybody, and there were very stark class divides. And now when you're thinking about World War I, it had a very big impact on the way people saw the world. Soldiers like Septimus joined the battle out of a patriotic loyalty, which they did question upon the return when they saw how poorly they were treated by society at home. All classes began to question the strict class system after the war. Everyone fought and died for their country, but only one class of people, which is the rich and upper affluent people, really seemed to benefit from that sacrifice. Death is another important theme. All the characters in the novel view life and death in very different ways. Mrs. Dalloway, on the one hand, sees death as very natural and a peaceful end, and is not afraid of it, though she does prefer to live out her life. Septimus, on the other hand, fears death, but chooses it over the life he is currently living. And Peter is panicked by the idea of death and tries to distract himself from any thought of it. In terms of analysis, the main important symbol is the old woman in the window. So Mrs. Dalloway sees an old woman in the window across the street and wonders about how all humans have such separate lives. She also reflects about how loneliness and privacy grow as one ages, and the old woman symbolises this inner privacy as well as what is to come in life. Peter's pocket knife is another symbol. So he has a pocket knife that he often takes out and fidgets with, and this knife symbolises just how indecisive he is in all aspects of his life, and how he's defensive about everything. He can't make up his mind about how he feels when it comes to Mrs. Dalloway or English society in general. So that's all. If you did enjoy this video or you found it useful, do give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more revision videos and tips on how to improve your writing when it comes to English at GCSE or A-level. Thank you for listening.